We had just won the summer championship, yet there was still no word on my contract renewal. Then I stumbled upon a withdrawal request in the team's internal system. The submitter field had my girlfriend's name written in bold letters, Ava Thorne. I burst into her office like a man possessed. I demanded to know what the hell she was playing at. We had clawed our way from dead last in the league all the way to the summer championship. My old injuries had been my constant companion through it all. I had gritted my teeth and pushed through the pain to play. My wrist had been bound tight with kinesiology tape after every match. As the team's head coach, she should have cared. She couldn't have been unaware of any of it. But she merely smiled. She brushed it aside like it was no big deal, dismissing it as nothing more than a joke. Ethan Miller and I had a bet going. We wanted to see if he would spot the request before the deadline. Looks like I win, Ethan. He was the rookie she had signed against everyone's objections. The newcomer she had fought tooth and nail to bring onto the roster. I forced my rage back down. So you two used me as your little gambling chip. That was fun for you. She frowned. Her voice dripped with irritation. You can withdraw it yourself with a couple of clicks in the system. Is it really that big a deal? What is all the drama about? So that was it. The starting spot I had bled for. In her eyes, it was just some offhand wager. I could barely believe the words coming out of her mouth. Ava, be honest with yourself for a second. If Ethan Miller had been the one who put in that withdrawal request, would you still be saying, what is all the drama about? All the fire that had been burning in my chest. Every ounce of rage I had been choking back, dissolved in an instant. All that was left was a cold dread, crawling slowly up from the pit of my stomach. My throat bobbed 3 times before I could force anything out. I barely managed to choke out a few words. My own voice sounded shaky even to me. Ava Thorne, did it ever cross your mind? If I hadn't caught this in time, what do you think would have happened? Maybe it was because my voice came out too dry and raspy. She finally lifted her head. A faint crease appeared between her brows. Impatience flashed across her features. But when her eyes skimmed over the shadows under my eyes, and the medical tape wrapped around my wrist, her gaze visibly faltered. Her lips pressed into a thin, tight line. Her fingers unconsciously reached for the sticky note on the corner of her desk and slowly crumpled it between her fingers. That was her tell, the one she always fell back on, every time she felt guilty, but could not bring herself to say sorry. That is exactly what she did. A sliver of hope flickered in my chest. Maybe she had just acted on impulse. Maybe she was already regretting it. But that pathetic shred of hope was snuffed out the instant she opened her mouth again, crushed beyond recognition. You're the one who said it yourself. Since you do not want to quit, then stop wasting my time. Just go back and cancel the request. Problem solved. I drew in a long, steady breath, forcing down the bitter lump lodged in my throat. Ava, what Ethan Miller did was a clear breach of protocol. I could take this straight to the team owner and file a formal complaint with the league. The moment those words left my lips, Ava Thorne let out a sharp, cold laugh. A complaint. Her expression turned dark in an instant. Any remaining warmth that had been there disappeared completely. James Gage, have you lost your mind? You would blow this up into a formal complaint over something so trivial. It was just a joke. Ethan only just joined the team. He is young. Can you not cut him some slack? He was just caught up in the moment. He was venting to me, that is all. It was still aimed at me in the end. How many times do I have to tell you? I was the one who brought him in. If he screws up, I will take the heat. What is wrong with me looking out for him? Why do you have to keep harping on this? You're like a dog gnawing on a bone, refusing to drop it. Why are you so hell-bent on going after a rookie? You are completely unreasonable. I cannot even have a proper conversation with you anymore. Her voice spiked sharply. She jabbed her finger toward the office door. Get out. Just get out of here. I stood there completely frozen. It was as if I were seeing her for the very first time. She had sworn to me once, no matter how ugly the fight got, she would never say that word, get out, because her father had screamed it at her mother. Just once. The next morning, her mother went and filed for divorce, and never came home again. Searching her eyes for any hint of a joke. Even a sliver of hollow guilt would have been enough. But all I saw was icy impatience. And something else, something I had never seen on her face before. Pura disgust. The tape around my wrist suddenly felt like it was cutting off my circulation, as if it would burst my veins. My fingertips went numb, little by little. My mind flashed back to the summer finals in Los Angeles. The last team fight. The moment it ended, I pulled off my headset. The first face I saw was hers. She ran toward me, threw herself into my embrace. Her tears soaked straight through my jersey. She was crying and yelling all at once. James, we actually did it. Her arms had felt so warm then. How could the words coming out her mouth now be colder than ice? I just stood there looking at her stiff profile, and suddenly I realized the strength that had been holding me upright through this argument had drained out of me completely. I was so exhausted. Phoenix, I finally said. My voice came out so calm it surprised even me. I will go, not just out of your office. I'm leaving this team. I'm walking away from all of it, exactly the way you wanted. Back in my room at the training center, the withdrawal request was still open on my monitor. Because of that, the system's auto-renewal had been stuck in limbo. Ava Thorne had not been wrong about that. If I clicked the withdraw button right now, if I withdrew it, it would be like nothing had ever happened. My cursor hovered over the withdraw application button, but no matter how I tried to force myself, I just could not make myself click, until a knock at the door snapped me back to reality. The door swung open. In walked Ethan Miller. He still had his team jersey on. He had that same harmless, boyish smile plastered on his face. Ava sent me to get you for the meeting. We are going over starting lineup changes for next season. He stopped mid-sentence, as if something had just occurred to him, and switched his tone to that phony, concerned act. I just ran into Ava. She seemed pretty upset. Did you two have a fight? Is it because of the bet? If you absolutely have to blame someone, then just blame me. I mean, the whole mess came from that little wager she and I made. So lay off, Ava, all right. It sounded like he was apologizing, but every single word implied I was overreacting and being petty. The barely hidden smugness and mockery in his eyes practically oozed out of him, yet he still kept up that pathetic act, the facade of an innocent rookie. I stared at him coldly. A wave of disgust surged up from my gut. Ava, what exactly do you see in him? When the rookie training camp had wrapped up, Ethan Miller had not ranked anywhere near the top. Ava Thorne had fought against everyone's objections and insisted on signing him anyway. I had questioned her call on that. She had looped her arm through mine and smiled, saying it was because on that stage, Ethan's eyes reminded her of me, the way I used to be. She wanted to give him a shot, just like she had given me. And because of that, I started watching him a little more closely after that. But even though Ava went on about his potential, she treated him just as businesslike as everyone else. She had even complained about him to me, saying his performance was all over the place. He would zone out under pressure. His decision-making and game sense were noticeably lacking. She admitted herself she had called it wrong, saying he was nothing like me. That lasted until the group stage 2 months ago. Around that time, Ava's new tactical system had been completely detached from reality. We had lost 3 straight matches and dropped into the losers bracket. One more loss, and we would not even make the playoffs. I realized I could not keep forcing her strategy. So next game, I overruled her drafting and tactics mid-game and led us to our first win of that stage. When the match was over, the rest of the team was still celebrating. Ava's face was unreadably complicated. Why did you change the tactics? I thought she was just asking out of curiosity. So I gave her my honest read on the situation. But her next words were sharp. I will let this slide for now, but I am the coach. You're just a player. Your job is to execute, not to make your own calls. I frowned and fired back. Ava, this is esports. It is not a scripted performance. The game changes by the second. You have to adapt in the moment. The ones actually in the game know better than anyone what actually works. She got so furious, she slammed her notebook onto the floor. Her voice spiked. James Gage, you are way too full of yourself. If we had lost that game, who would have taken a fall? I would have. I held her gaze, without giving an inch. We ended that conversation bitterly. But we had won. The media was singing our praises. Management had called Ava Thorne in. After that, she had no choice but to leave me in the starting lineup. The day we took the title, I pulled off my headset and looked up. She was already sprinting toward me. She wrapped her arms around me and held on tight. Her tears drenched my jersey. James, we actually did it. Back then I still thought that fight we had was just a minor blip. But that was just me fooling myself. Later I learned, after that fight, Ethan Miller had been the one to stay with her. After everyone else had cleared out, he kept texting her. From that point on, Ava and him got closer and closer. Ethan started bringing her breakfast every morning. She stopped saying no. The strategies on the whiteboard gradually all started revolving around him. By the end, even the other players were joking about it, saying Ava Thorne was about to swap me out for him. Every time I heard that, my expression would darken. Ava never shut it down. She would just smile and raise 3 fingers in a vow. Don't listen to them. I swear, you're the only one I care about. Liar. Why did not say anything? The smugness in Ethan's eyes intensified. James, are you still mad? Before I could even answer him, the sharp click of high heels echoed down the hallway. Ava Thorne strode over. Her eyes went straight to Ethan Miller first. Her voice was dripping with concern. What are you doing here? Then she turned to me. Her brow knitted instantly. James, are you giving Ethan Miller a hard time again? Ethan waved his hands quickly, putting on his act of defending me. Ava, don't get the wrong idea. I came to see James myself. He dropped his head again, as if he were terrified of upsetting me. His voice was all soft and pitiful. I just figured, with such a major lineup change on the table, it would be fair to hear what James Gage thinks too. Ava's face instantly softened. I am a coach. Adjusting the starters is my call. I do not need anyone's approval. Some people win 1 or 2 titles and think they can throw their weight around and bully people. If that is the way it is going to be, don't blame me for getting ugly. As she said that, her icy gaze swept over me. In that moment, it finally clicked. My mid-game tactical overrule from that day. She had never truly forgiven me for it. This whole bet, and Ethan Miller filing that withdrawal request on his own, was just her carefully orchestrated revenge. As long as I surrendered, stopped fighting back, I could earn what she called forgiveness. But why? Why should I have betrayed my career? For a single word of absolution from her, I shook my head. Ava, you are beyond help. Her face went white. Her voice shot up. James, do you have to be so petty and aggressive? She drew in a sharp breath, then let out a bitter laugh. I was on the fence before, but now I see it plain. Pulling you from the starting lineup was the right call. With that attitude of yours, you do not deserve to be on that stage. It felt like a sledgehammer to the chest. A dull ache radiated through my veins, slowly creeping through my whole body. Even breathing hurt. The woman who had once told me, "You will be the next world champion," was now staring at me and saying, I did not deserve to compete. Who did she think she was? Some kind of judge? Whether I was worthy of playing. It was not her call to make. I clenched my fists. My knuckles went white with tension. I locked eyes with Ava Thorne. Finally, she was the one who broke the stare. I knew why she looked away. She was remembering everything we had been through. Back then, the two of us were both rejects no team wanted. We had only had each other to lean on, grinding through practice day after day, climbing to the top together, and weathering every low together. Neither of us had ever let go. But this time, she genuinely wanted to cast me aside, no matter how many trophies I had brought back for this team. The only thing she wanted now was Ethan Miller. Ethan is different from you. He knows how to forgive. If you just swallow your pride and say sorry, we can put this all behind us. Her voice softened just a little, but that condescending, commanding edge was still there. 5 years of competing side by side, 3 years as partners, and all it took was one fight and a few comforting words from someone else to wipe all of that out. My face went cold again. Dream on. Ava's face darkened further. James Gage, you are just too stubborn. Fine, let her believe that. I had no strength left to keep fighting with her. Think whatever you want. With a loud slam, I slammed the door shut and turned the lock, not caring if I caught them in it. I turned back to the withdrawal request on my screen. The countdown timer in the corner read, in 40 more minutes, the request would become locked and irreversible. My finger hovered over withdraw for a second, but I pressed it anyway. The system auto-generated the renewal contract. I slowly dragged my cursor over decline renewal for current season. I would not walk away just because of a ridiculous bet, but I sure as hell would not stay in a team that could pull something like this. Not anymore. I glanced at my contract end date. Then I picked up my phone and texted the person who had been trying to poach me just yesterday. Nina Vance. I'm a shot caller. My contract is nearly up. No buyout needed. The response was almost immediate. A flood of frantic messages exploded onto my screen. Yes, 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 yes. Don't you go anywhere. I'm drafting the contract right now. If this is a joke, I swear to God I will hunt you down. A notification chimed. The new team's contract came through. I let out a long, slow breath. So this was it. Leaving SCG. Leaving Ava Thorne. Did not hurt as much as I had imagined. For a split second, it almost felt like relief. Even the dull throb in my wrist felt a little lighter. I suddenly remember how I used to smile and say, I'm going to take SCG to Worlds with Ava Thorne. We're going to Worlds together. Looking back now, it was almost laughable. Once I had signed the digital contract, I started packing my bags. My phone buzzed again. It was Justin Brooks, my best friend. The first two were voice notes, full of angry shouting. He sounded like he was about to blow a gasket. James Gage. Right now. Immediately. Watch the video I just sent you. The whole SCG crew is here. You're the only one missing. Ava Thorne and Ethan Miller are glued together like Siamese twins. A video followed right after the message. The footage was shaking badly, clearly filmed by Justin hiding in the corner. Neon lights flashed in the private booth, casting everyone in garish colors. The team sat in a circle. Ethan Miller pressed up against Ava in the center. Their arms were practically touching. Someone yelled over the noise. Ava Thorne. Truth or dare? Someone else egged them on with a laugh. Dottie, if you pick dare, you have two choices. Either take a shot with any guy in the room, or get James Gage to say out loud. I was wrong. The room erupted in laughter and whistles. Everyone knew about our fight that morning. They were all enjoying the spectacle. Ethan Miller looked at Ava Thorne. His eyes could not hide his anticipation. Ava's cheeks were a little flushed. Her brow was faintly creased. She hesitated for a few seconds. Then she pulled out her phone. Ethan's grin froze mid-laugh, instantly stiffened. My phone rang. I answered it, but I did not say a thing. The background on her end was absolute chaos. Sounded like she was at a party. She might have already been drunk. Her words came out a little slurred, but her tone was unusually soft. James Gage, I got too worked up this morning. I will give you one more chance. All you have to do is tell Ethan. I was wrong, and you'll be back in the starting five. And we will act like none of this ever happened. Not any of it. I let out a bitter laugh. Ava Thorne, let me make this crystal clear one last time. Apologize to him? That is never going to happen. Ava went off like a firecracker. Fine. James Gage, you have got some nerve. If you have got the balls, then go for it. I did not bother letting her finish. I just hung up on her. She called back. I rejected it again. A third time. I blocked her outright. And just like that, the world went quiet. A few seconds later, Justin Brooks sent me another video. In the video, Ava Thorne's face was contorted with fury, clearly triggered by being blocked. She hurled her glass onto the floor. The shattering glass cut through the room, drowning out the music. Booze and shards scattered across the floor. The ones who had been hollering moments before went dead silent. The noise was cut to silence. All that was left was awkward silence. Then Ethan Miller stepped in first, reaching for her arm. His voice was shaking a little. Ava, please do not be mad. Let's just stop this. All right, why should we stop? Ava pointed at a teammate. Turn on your camera. Record this. Get on tape. Let James Gage see it clearly. That I, Ava Thorne, do not belong to Justin. The moment she finished speaking, she yanked Ethan Miller toward her and kissed him right in front of everyone, even though I'd already made peace with walking away. Seeing it happen, my chest still instinctively tightened. But weirdly enough, that crushing, suffocating weight actually started to ease. After just a few seconds, I texted Justin Brooks back. I'm heading to Austin. Whatever she does from now on has nothing to do with me. Then I shut off my phone. I did not expect That same night, Ava Thorne would show up at my door, reeking of alcohol. I checked the system. You canceled your withdrawal request. I raised an eyebrow, but said nothing. If she had seen that, she must have also seen my transfer notification. So why was she even here? I knew it. You cannot really leave. James, you cannot leave the storm. And you cannot leave me. Just apologize to Ethan Miller, and I will give you your starting spot back. Her words made me freeze for half a second, and then all I could do was laugh, and I slammed the door in her face. The next morning, Ava was gone. From that night on, the space between us was filled with nothing but an icy, suffocating silence. It stayed that way until the day before my departure. That afternoon, the team manager came to see me, looking uncomfortable. James, Ava Thorne said she is hosting a victory banquet tonight. She wants the entire team to attend. I frowned. Victory banquet? We had already had one. After we won the summer championship, I shook my head. I'm not going. The manager looked awkward. He opened his mouth to try again. Ava specifically said, Max. I cut him off calmly. My contract ends today. Strictly speaking, by the time that banquet starts tonight, I will not be a part of this team anymore. I turned and walked away, without another word. The second my plane touched down in Austin, my phone buzzed. It was Justin Brooks calling. His voice was dripping with exasperation. James, Ava Thorne showed up at my place. She is demanding to see you. I told her you were not here. She will not buy it. She is literally camped outside my door. She has lost her mind. She actually had the nerve to ask where the hell you went. I frowned. Just tell her. I have already left for Austin. Not long after, another call came through. It was Justin again. This time his voice was pure rage. Ava Thorne has completely lost it. I told her you had gone to Austin. She barged straight into my house. Through the receiver, I could vaguely hear Ava yelling in the background. Justin, cut the crap. There is no way James Gage went to Austin by himself. He's got to be hiding here with you. Get him out here to talk to me. Justin fired back on the spot. His voice was dripping with sarcasm. Ava, quit playing dumb. Why else would James go to Austin? He is reporting to his new team. You have not checked the system? You mean you still have not figured out? They did not re-sign. Justin's words hit her like a cold blade, slamming into Ava's ears. She froze solid. Her knuckles went white around the phone. For a moment, she forgot how to breathe. You? What are you saying? Her voice shook, thin, shaky, and fragile. Even she could hear how hollow her bravado was. I saw myself. The system clearly showed that James Gage canceled his withdrawal request. That means he did not go. Justin let out a hollow laugh, swiped his screen, and turned the phone toward her. On the glowing display was a post pinned at the top of an esports gossip forum. The headline hit her like a slap. Exclusive. Storm champion shot caller James Gage signs with Austin Titans after contract expiration. It had been posted just that morning. There was a dimly lit signing photo attached, even with the poor lighting. She recognized the profile in an instant. It was him. You only see what you want to see, do you not, Ava? James Gage canceled the withdrawal request. It was not so he could stay. It was to let the system finish the paperwork, so he could walk away from your garbage team clean. Justin crossed his arms, a mocking smirk curling at his lips. You're not exactly new to this. Once a story like this breaks, you know exactly what it means, do you not? Those words smashed the last shred of her self-delusion. Ava Thorne stumbled backward. Her back hit the cold security door. A chill crept up her spine. Her mind was a whirlwind. Scenes from the past few days flashed through her head. She had screamed get out at him, forced him to grovel to Ethan Miller, kissed Ethan in public just to spite him, just to wound him. Even last night, she had gone to his room and found he was already gone. She had asked the manager, who said he had already left, yet she had still clung desperately to that foolish sliver of hope, convinced he was just being stubborn, that he would cool off and come back like he always did. But now, that photo, that hard evidence of his move to the Titans, landed like a stinging, merciless slap, square across her face. Her hand trembled. She fumbled frantically for her own phone. She messed up her passcode 3 times before she finally got in. The page took forever to load. each second stretched into agony. And then finally, the contract page loaded. Glaring red text blared mercilessly on the screen. Declined renewal. Renewal process terminated. No, that is impossible, she whispered. Tears spilled uncontrollably, dropping onto the screen. He promised. He said we would go to Worlds together. How could he just leave? How could he just disappear? Justin Brooks' tone softened just a little, but the irritation was still there. He said a lot of things, Ava. How many of them did you actually hear? Who turned his withdrawal request into a joke? Who told him he did not even deserve to compete? Ava, the one who pushed him away, was you. Ava Thorne could not speak. She just clutched her phone tighter. Suddenly, a memory flashed in her mind. The day of the summer finals in L.A. Right before the match, James Gage's eyes were bloodshot. His wrist was wrapped tight in kinesiology tape. He had smiled at her and said, Ava, we are one step closer to Worlds. And at that moment, all she had been thinking about was their tactical rift. He is not going anywhere. The team cannot lose him. Her voice died in her throat, and she jerked her head up, her eyes filled with panic and a desperate, obsessive resolve. She did not say another word. She spun and ran for the stairs. Her heels clattered on the steps. A frantic, echoing rhythm, quick and chaotic. I'm going to find him. Justin Brooks watched her retreating figure disappear around the stairwell corner. He let out a helpless sigh and pulled out his phone, firing off a quick text to James. Ava Thorne says she is heading to Austin to find you. Watch your back. The landscape outside the car window shifted from the airport freeway into Austin's neon glow. The Austin night was brighter than I had imagined, and colder too. I rested my head against the window. The familiar ache in my wrist crept back. It was like the injury knew exactly when to act up, always flaring up when I least wanted to be reminded of it. A reminder I was not fully healed yet, but somewhere deep down, the tension that had been wound tight for months finally started to ease. The Titans facility was leagues above the Storms, a standalone complex, exuding the confidence of a top-tier organization. In the darkness, their logo glowed with a cold blue light, like the eyes of a predator waiting to pounce. I had barely stepped out of the car when someone hurried over to greet me. You made it. How was the drive from the airport? It was Max Harrison, the Titans manager. He had sounded warm over the phone. In person, he was even more energetic. He grinned and took my suitcase. Come on, let me show you where you will be staying. The whole team has been waiting to meet you, especially Zoe Sterling. She has been going on about you all afternoon. The name Zoe made me pause, almost imperceptibly. We had lived in the same neighborhood as kids. She always trailed after me, shouting my name. James Gage. Whenever our parents were out, I would sneak her onto my computer chair and teach her how to play. I showed her the basics, but she could never sit still. Her character always ended up getting caught and killed. Every time she died, she would complain with utter conviction. It is the keyboard's fault. Then, the year I graduated high school, I decided to go pro. My parents were livid, and it was Zoe who quietly handed me all her savings, pressed it into my palm, and said, I believe in you. You're going to be a champion someday. Looking back, she was the first person who ever truly believed in me. And she was right. As we walked down the hallway, Max Harrison kept up a steady stream of chatter, giving me the lay of the land, chatting easily. Finally, he stopped in front of one and pushed it open. This is yours. Best view in the place. And the quietest, for someone whose brain never stops. This is perfect. The room was spacious. Everything was brand new, miles ahead of my room back in Seattle, in a completely different league. The window looked out over the entire riverside skyline, lights tracing the curve of the river, like a drawn-out strand of stars. Thanks, Max. He clapped me on the shoulder. Don't mention it. Freshen up. Dinner is in half an hour. Tonight is your official welcome party. When the door clicked shut, the room went quiet. I stood there, taking it all in silence. From finding that withdrawal request, to fighting with Ava Thorne, to making the choice to leave, all within the span of a few days. And yet everything had already changed. The place I once thought I would see out my career, I had walked away from without a second thought. The person I had once believed I could not live without. Turned out, even without her, I felt nothing but numbness. Not shattered, not ripped open, just dull and eerily quiet. I had almost finished unpacking when a soft knock came at the door. Figured it was Max Harrison. I opened it without thinking. As the door swung open, a tall figure leaned casually against the frame. Zoe Sterling stood there in her Titans jacket, her long hair pulled back in a messy knot, a smile on her lips that was both familiar and somehow different. Her eyes were bright, surveying me from head to toe. Well, James Gage, our great shot caller, finally decides to grace the Titans with his presence. I looked at her. For a moment, I was lost. The girl who used to trail behind me crying after every loss was now one of the league's brightest stars, a player who could carry an entire roster on her shoulders. Grace with my presence. I stepped aside. I'm just here for the food. Sure you are. She strolled right in, her gaze sweeping the place without apology. Someone like you, playing the nowhere-to-go act. Who's going to buy that, James? She paused on purpose, a mischievous glint in her eyes. We had not talked much over the years, busy with school and competing. Life had a way of pulling people apart. Until last season, she burst onto the scene with the Titans, with a jaw-dropping performance, quickly becoming the heart of the team. And we finally crossed paths again in the league. Just nods before games, and the occasional polite holiday text. And now, running into her like this, left me with a strange mix of bitterness and something bittersweet. Our coach has been waiting for you all season. Her voice was soft. So, settling in all right? Yeah. I nodded. The place is great. And the people? She raised an eyebrow. I paused. A faint smile tugged at my lips. I just got here. I have not met anyone yet. Zoe Sterling hummed knowingly and did not push. She walked over to the window, turning her back to me to gaze at the skyline. Her voice softened. Since last season, I have been trying to poach you. I did not actually think you would say yes. Neither did I. A short silence settled between us. Then she turned, her expression turning unusually serious. James Gage, welcome to the Titans. She paused, her gaze holding steady on me, carrying a quiet intensity. We need you. I understood the weight behind those words. The Titans had once been a powerhouse, but they had been stumbling for years. They were missing a shot caller, someone who could pull everyone back into sync during the chaos. And I needed a place to start over too. I was about to answer when her phone buzzed. Zoe glanced at the screen and swiped it away. Dinner is ready. Come on, let me show you what real food looks like. It blows the Seattle cafeteria out of the water. The dining hall was buzzing, laughter echoing off the walls. The long table was packed with players and staff. Max Harrison waved me over enthusiastically. Zoe Sterling slid into the seat beside me, pulling people over to meet me and introducing them one after another. Who played what role and what each person's strengths were, and what weird habits they had. The entire meal was easygoing. Everyone chatted while they ate. And soon the conversation turned to my past matches and my approach to shot calling. They asked about my reads and how I saw the map. The conversation flowed back and forth effortlessly, no tension at all. No one was sizing anyone up. I could feel it was genuine respect and pure excitement. It was not politics or backroom maneuvering, just a group of people who genuinely wanted to win. In the middle of the laughter, a staff member from the front desk came in, quietly approached Max, and murmured something in his ear. Max nodded, his smile fading a little, then turned his gaze across the table to me, a hesitant look on his face. James, the front desk, said someone is asking for you. As I followed the staff member downstairs, I had a sinking feeling. When I reached the lobby, my suspicion was confirmed. Standing at the entrance was Ava Thorne. Her hair was thrown up in a messy bun, stray strands clinging to her cheeks. Her eyes were bloodshot. The composed, sharp coach I once knew was nowhere in sight. James, why did you just leave without a word? She lunged toward me, reaching for my arm. The team is waiting for you to come back. Was signing with the Titans your plan all along? I stepped away from her reach, my voice almost cold. I followed standard contract protocol. That is not leaving without a word. As for signing here, it was my decision after I left the Storm. It has nothing to do with you. I paused and met her eyes. Besides, the one who submitted that withdrawal request from me was you. Remember? So now you have gotten exactly what you wanted. What is the problem? What I wanted. Her voice shot up, drawing looks from the staff nearby. James, is your heart made of stone? What did you say on the day of the summer finals? You promised we would go to Worlds together. Did you forget back when no one thought you deserved to start? Who fought for you and kept you in that spot? You really just walked away over one stupid joke. Tears welled in her eyes, her voice both accusatory and wounded. But to me, those memories had long since turned to ash. I looked at her. Ava, are you seriously blaming me right now? Was that my doing, turning the withdrawal request into a joke? Was it my idea to bet my career against Ethan Miller? No, it was you. You were the one who told me to get out. You were the one who crushed everything between us with your own hands. And now you stand here asking me if I have a heart. Her face went white and her lips quivered, but no words came out. A few seconds passed before her voice suddenly went soft and thick with tears. James, I know I messed up. I should not have come at you like that. Please come back. I will give you your starting spot back. We can just go back to how things used to be. Go back. I let out a hollow laugh with no warmth reaching my eyes. Sure. Then first, send Ethan Miller down to the academy team. Ava Thorne went rigid and her face crumpled. She was too conflicted to respond. I let out a quiet, cold laugh. You cannot do that, can you? You used to say you would never gamble with my career. Look at what you were doing. Ava, do you honestly believe we could just pretend none of this happened and go back to before? Her tears kept falling and she reached for my wrist. Before she could, another voice cut through sharply. This is Rich. You were the one who shoved him away, and now you are here, crying for sympathy. Do you think the Titans facility is your personal playground? You think you can come and go as you please and take whoever you want? Zoe Sterling. I had not even noticed her come down the stairs. She was holding my water bottle as she walked over to stand beside me, her eyes cold as ice. James's wrist was killing him, and he was gritting his teeth through the pain. What were you doing then? You were busy making stupid bets with Ethan Miller. Now that he is finally doing well over here, you show up to mess things up. You are not here to win him back, Ava Thorne. You are just afraid that without James Gage, your precious team will collapse. Stay out of this. Ava snapped, her voice cracking. This is between me and James. I'm the captain of the Titans, Zoe Sterling replied coolly, and I am James's teammate. She passed me the water bottle. A sarcastic smile curled her lips. Unlike you. You finally had a top-tier shot caller in your hands, and you threw him away. Then you bent over backward to protect that worthless rookie. Now you want to take James back. The world does not work that way. Ava's face went red, then white as a sheet, trembling with fury. Do not you dare talk nonsense, she shouted, and lunged to push Zoe. I caught her wrist before she could make contact, not hard, but enough to stop her. That is enough, Ava Thorne, I said quietly. Do not make a scene. She stumbled back and steadied herself, her last shred of composure shattered. Fine. Fine. Then come with me, she screamed, her voice cracking. Just say you will come back, and I will stop. The storm needs you. Zoe Sterling frowned and pulled out her phone. Hello, security? We have a disturbance in the lobby. Please come handle it. Ava Thorne turned to me one final time, her eyes full of desperation. James, please. I'm begging you. Ava. I cut her off, my voice final. I'm doing well with the Titans. Let end here. Do not come looking for me, and do not contact me again. Not just the team. I paused and held her gaze. We are done too. In the end, security escorted Ava Thorne out of the Titans facility. She stumbled as she walked, her hair a total mess. She looked like a lost, dirty stray. Zoe Sterling glanced at me. You all right? I shook my head. I am fine. She shrugged. Good. Come on, dinner is waiting. People like her are not worth losing your appetite over. Time flew by, and a month later the fall regular season kicked off. The saying that enemies always meet on narrow roads couldn't have been more fitting. Because the Titans' very first match was against the Storm. The two teams came face to face in the pre-match hallway. Ethan Miller was beside Ava Thorne, flashing me a smug, provocative grin. Ava's face was far more complicated, filled with resentment, bitterness, and something deeper. But I had long since stopped trying to decipher any of it. Well, if it isn't our great shot caller, Ethan Miller said, his voice dripping with sarcasm. How does it feel riding the Titans' coattails? You comfortable over there? Before I could respond, our top laner Jake Thompson already fired back. You Storm clowns have a nerve to run your mouths. That game against XY last season where someone flashed into a wall and threw the game. I still have that replay saved on my phone. I watch it for laughs. Another Titans player jumped in. The Storm has already dropped 2 games this season, right? One more loss, and you're straight into the losers bracket. Take care of your own house first. Without James Gage carrying you and bailing you out. You seriously think you can pull off another miracle without him? I finally spoke, my voice calm and measured, but sharp beneath the surface. We will settle it on stage. Some of us earn our spots, unlike those who only play because the starter got hurt. Ethan Miller went crimson, his mouth opening to fire back, but nothing came out. Zoe Sterling let out a quiet laugh and flicked her hair back. She let her gaze lazily drift over Ava Thorne and Ethan Miller. Coach Ava Thorne, get your players in line. Trash talk requires the credentials to back it up. Your precious rookie only got his spot because of favoritism. Meanwhile, we paid top dollar for a shot caller who has actually won a world championship. Do you really think those two belong in the same conversation? Ava's grip on her clipboard was so tight her knuckles went white. Her hands were trembling as her eyes locked onto me, as if she were desperately searching my face for any sign of doubt. There was something in her eyes that looked like regret, but there was nothing left on my end. I met her gaze calmly, no longer feeling anger or hurt, just distance. The woman whose words once turned my whole world upside down was now just a stranger. Let's go, I said to my team. We turned and walked toward the stage tunnel, leaving the storm behind us. The roar of the crowd and the blinding stage lights grew closer with every step we took. A new chapter was unfolding with each footfall. I was not just going to win this game, I was going to show everyone. That leaving that team was the best decision I ever made. We took our seats and pulled on our noise-canceling headsets, instantly shutting out the deafening roar from the stands. All that remained was my own heartbeat pounding clearly against my eardrums as I adjusted my gear. My fingertips brushed against the cold metal, a familiar, reassuring sensation that steadied my nerves. I flexed my wrist gently and felt the familiar heat beneath the medical tape radiating from my old injury. It was not a liability anymore. It was more like a silent lash driving me onward. Several complicated looks were aimed my way from the other side of the stage. There was resentment and bitterness, and perhaps even a touch of regret they would never own up to. I knew exactly who it was, but I did not look back. The draft phase started, and Ava Thorne's game plan still bore some resemblance to my old approach. But her imitation was clumsy. She had forced Ethan Miller into the center of their offense, while completely ignoring team tempo and their margin for error. The Titans coaching staff had obviously studied her strategy inside and out, and Zoe Sterling knew Ava's habits and fixations better than anyone. She knew that system like the back of her hand. Stick to the plan, I said low into the comms. Got it, my teammates answered back, barely containing their excitement. In Game 1, the Storm tried to leverage their early power and force an invade into our jungle. But I had vision prepped and caught them the whole way. We countered, flanked, and collapsed for clean ace. Ethan Miller, under my precise reads and the team's coordinated focus, completely crumbled. The harder he tried to prove himself, the bigger his mistakes became. My calls were crisp and lethal as our gold lead snowballed. At 20 minutes, the Storm's formation imploded. When their nexus blew, we took the lead, 1-0. Titans fans erupted, almost lifting the roof off the arena. The broadcast cut to the Storm booth. Ethan Miller was pale as a ghost. Ava Thorne was clinging to her clipboard, her lips pressed tight and her brow knitted. In Game 2, the Storm switched things up, trying to stall for a late-game comeback. But the Titans' vision and map control were nearly airtight. We pried every objective away from them piece by piece. I moved like a surgeon, carving through their defense while leading my team on precise cuts. Zoe Sterling's assassin slipped through every opening I created, landing kill shot after kill shot on their key targets. The break came at the critical Baron fight, where their teamwork disintegrated. I pounced on that window and called a flawless engage for a clean ace with 0 deaths. The Storm never recovered, and we went up 2-0. Game 3 was a foregone conclusion. Their mechanics fell apart, and their mental state had collapsed. 15 minutes in, it was already a one-sided massacre. We steamrolled their base for a 3-0 sweep. It was an absolute demolition. My teammates yanked off their headsets, yelling in excitement and slapping high fives all around. I leaned back slowly in my seat and let out a long, slow breath. My wrist was throbbing faintly, but all I felt inside was a steady calm, a lightness from finally shedding the burden. We rose and walked over to their booth for the post-game handshake. Ethan Miller kept his head down the whole time, his fingers cold when they brushed mine. When it was Ava's turn, she looked at me with a complicated expression as if she wanted to speak. But in the end, she only offered her hand stiffly for a quick shake, her hand trembling. I did not pause. I turned and walked to center stage into the spotlight that was now ours. In that moment, I knew I had truly left behind a past that was the Storm and Ava Thorne. In the games that followed, the Titans kept rolling and stormed into the finals. Finals day was another 3-0 sweep, and golden confetti rained down like a wave. The trophy was lifted high, while the Storm, without their shot caller and tactical anchor, completely imploded. I heard Ava Thorne got torn into by management and ultimately got removed from her coaching role. As for Ethan Miller, his reputation was almost beyond repair, but none of that was my concern anymore. A brand new dynasty was just beginning. Watching the golden rain fall, James Gage finally understood that true winning was not about the trophy. It was about finding the part of himself he had lost, the one who would not be dismissed anymore. Ava Thorne had treated their love like a game of poker, forgetting that once you wound someone to the bone, you do not have any cards left to play. Walking away from someone who drains you is not a loss. It is the moment you finally realize you deserve more. If a relationship requires you to trade away your self-respect, then it was never right from the start. If it were you, faced with a resignation request that got turned into a punchline, would you swallow your pride one more time for old time's sake? Or would you walk away clean, just like you did, and chase a fresh start?